Hi, welcome to PJ Knits. My name's Penny. I'm from Central Illinois, and this is my YouTube channel. And this is episode number 2, and I'm calling it Yarn Souvenirs. And I want to talk about in this episode some of the things, the shops that we visited on our recent trip back from Florida, and some yarn souvenirs that I purchased on my way. We had a lovely time, as I told you before. Anyway, I am PJ Knits on Instagram. I'm Penny J on Ravelry, and I have a blog that I have been writing on for several years about knitting and other things, and that is at www.pjknits.blogspot.com. Thank you for those who are coming back for a second try. You're my dear friends, I know that. And for those who are just tuning in, appreciate you coming back. And hopefully this will become a regular thing. Just got home. This morning I had hospice up in Peoria. And it's a lovely group of women and just a nice peaceful time, spending time knitting for a great organization. And I'll talk about that in the weeks to come as well. But anyway, had hospice, made a mad dash to the eye doctor, and had my eyes checked. I have to go back for the normal test in a couple of weeks, and then I'll have new glasses. And these I'm wearing now are my spares, not my faves. So anyway, that's what I've been doing so far this morning. So I'm just going to get right into it now. I just want to do a shout out for customer service. 2 places that I mentioned last time in the video were shops that I had ordered from, and one of them was from Castle Creek Fiber Studio in Naples. I ordered some yarn for a couple of hospice shawls the day of or the next day after recording, and then also from Eat Sleep Knit in Dallas, Georgia. I ordered, went online and put a kind of a holding place for some yarn when it came in. And it was either Thursday or Friday. The Monday after, both of those yarns showed up in my mailbox. And I was like, so pleased. What great customer service to those 2 shops. I mean, it was super fantastic. So I just want to give a shout out to great customer service and the United States Postal Service. They came through as well. So anyway, I'll talk about those in a little bit in my yarn souvenirs. But right now, what am I knitting? Well, one of the items that I talked about last time that I got from Castle Creek Fiber Studio, I'm knitting a diagonal baby shawl, but this is actually going to be for hospice. And I wish I would have had it done for today, but man, it's taken me quite a while to get to the halfway point. But I am loving this, and this is out of Baby Blossom DK, but I am just loving this pattern. I am just loving the yarn, the way it's going together, and it's so very, very squishy. Just love it. And right now I'm on ball 2, and the pattern actually says that you're supposed to do 2 skeins, but I think I'm going to be close to maybe getting into the 3rd that I have, which is okay. But I just love this yarn, and I love this design. It's a hayfield design pattern is what it is, and I talked about it last time. And so I just really super love this. It's in a bag that I want to just talk about for a real quick moment, and this is one of my fave bag makers. This is Silver Shed USA, and I kind of have a thing for Snoopy, but I really like this bag. I've had this for a while. I bought it maybe a year ago, and what I like about it is you can get from Silver Shed USA, you can get different things on your bag. And so one of these bags that I had, what I had to do is put a vinyl pocket on it with a zip. Now, I knit on Saturdays at one of our Paneras in Peoria. And so it's kind of nice sometimes to just take your project in, but to drop your phone and your keys and maybe some money in here. So I really, really like that about this bag. So she's one of my favorite bag makers, and you'll see a lot of these over time because I really like it. And when there's a Snoopy one, well, that is a great thing. I like those as well. Also, I am motoring on. This is my pavement sweater, and I'm on my second sleeve, and I'm hoping to have this done by the end of the month so that it can make my goals for a couple of groups that I'm in a snit and the Loop and Hook group on Ravelry. There's first quarter goals, and one of them is I wanted to do a couple of sweaters, a season, and this is going to be perfect for the next season. And I'm looking forward to getting that done. So I'm hoping this weekend that will be done. That particular one, I talked about the yarn. This is from Briar Rose Fibers. This is Chris from Michigan. This is called Sea Pearl. And I met Chris several years ago at Meg Swanson's knitting camp, and developed a little bit of a relationship with her, as we do at knitting camp. And she just has some great earthy tone yarns that I really like. They're not super brights, but you can see they're kind of subdued, and I really like that aesthetic about Chris. So I'll have some of those that I'll be showing over time as well. But I really like her yarns, so I just wanted to talk about her a little bit. Bags. We call this bags and books, it seems like right now, but I do have a affinity for bags. And I'll tell you what happened right now for me. I'm always looking for that perfect purse bag that is not only fashionable, but will hold my knitting. And so I'm on the constant look for one of those. And I think I always will be. But in lieu of that, I collect a lot of project bags because it all started. I want to tell you about my friend Norma. Norma and I became friends through work many years ago. I've been at the college now for 24 years. And so I knew Norma. I would have known Norma for 24 years. And she was hard to read in the beginning. Older than me, about as old as my mother. And so she was, in the beginning, she was a little aloof. But over time, we created such a great friendship. And I want to tell you that friendship circled around first cross stitch, because she was an avid needle pointer and cross stitcher. And we developed this relationship of going to some shows for cross stitch, and she kind of got me a little interested in needlepoint. So that relationship developed over time, and then I started knitting. And she was also a crocheter and had knitted. And as that relationship developed outside of work, and we would knit at lunchtimes together, and we would go to knit nights together. And then then after a few years, she would have a small core group of women to her house every Thursday night to knit. And we'd go out to dinner first and then go back to her house and knit. So she really became a super close friend. And she knew my love of Snoopy. So Norma really got me started on project bags, because she also was a sewer, and then she retired. So when she retired, she had more time, and I always was getting project bags from her, and I have a collection of them that are just very dear to my heart. But she would start doing Snoopy ones. When she saw a Snoopy fabric, she would think of me, and so she would knit. She would make me bags. So I have a collection of a lot of different bags, all made by my dear friend Norma. Now, we started knitting. She started doing a lot more project bags for knitting, and she started that affinity for them, okay, and made me a sock one. This has my socks in it, so I know what knitting's in it. Then several years ago, Norma passed away, and you know how it is. You feel a deep void when you've lost somebody so very close to you. And Norma was that for us. She was kind of the glue that held this small core group together, because later on we had somebody move away. We had a couple of people move away. We had another one pass away. And so the little group kind of disbanded. We still keep in touch with each other, the ones that are left and around periodically. But again, it's one of those deep friendships that became very important all through knitting, and 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 much missed, but now in a different direction. So to pull that all back, Norma, with her passing, I think I took up the I've got to buy more bags. When I see some really cute, cool ones, I just have to buy them. And so again, in keeping with that, Silver Shed USA a couple years ago came out with a Easter one, and I had to have it. I had to have this one, and it had a little stitch marker on it as well. That's so cool. So anyway, I just kept collecting the bags, and I'm not stopping by any means with that. But anyway, in this particular one, just going to bring out, this is what I've been working on at hospice as well. This particular one is called Water's Edge. It's a cabin 4 pattern, and I like the simplicity of some of their patterns. And so this is out of Barocco Folio. I really like the softness of this. And so that's what is in my Easter bag for hospice. And this is an ongoing. This is interesting. These are those Knit Picks Caspian needles. And very interesting. I just had to have a set of these because of the color. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a turquoise fan. So I had to have them just because of the color. I really tried to switch over to mostly Chiagoos. I love those the best of all. But anyway, I had to have this set, and so I do use them as well. But anyway, that's a cabin 4 pattern called Water's Edge, and I really I like that. So I'm also kind of sort of knitting on that one all. And just so happens that I am wearing Water's Edge today. I wore it out to hospice. This is such a soft shawl, easy one to do at hospice when you're just talking and visiting with people. So anyway, Water's Edge, it's a favorite from Cabin 4. What else do you want to know today? Oh, let's talk about the books part. Just got this book about a week or so ago. I had pre-ordered it, and I'm going to do, in the future, I'm going to do a show about Lost City Knits. But again, this is somebody that I met through Meg Swanson's knitting camp. This is Denise Bell, and I love her. I love her designs. I love the yarn they have, and they've just, her and Chris just came out with their second book called Deep Roots. And Denise is the one who got me started on a life of doing hap shawls. It's a shawl design. It's a shawl that I really like and want to explore more in the next coming months. But anyway, each one of their books, this is the second one, and I'll talk about the first one at a future date. But the designs in here are just unbelievable. I want to make them all. And Denise, she's just lovely. If you ever have the option to see her booth at a Stitches event or anywhere else, Lost City Knits, you have to go to it. Chris mans the booth, who also is part of the book. He takes the photographs, and I'm telling you, if even if you weren't a knitter, the pictures in this book and the stories that Chris does is worth the read. This is some good bedtime reading. I just can't say enough about this book. The photography, the designs, and his stories. I just love the in-depth that he takes you to a place that, you know, that I don't know that I'll ever get to go to. And that's the thing that's so neat about their books and their yarns. And I'm just a #1 fan. So Lost City Knits, and we'll talk about that in the episodes to come, because I want to give due to everything that they do. And I'll see Denise again in July at Knitting Camp, and I see her at Stitches Midwest in her booth. I always go there, and I'll talk about her yarn as well. I'll show you some cool stuff from there. Anyway, that's the latest book that I got. Loving that. You just have to check it out. So anyway, let's let's talk about yarn souvenirs and shopping. Now, I hit on it a little bit last time and this time, but one of the first shops that we went to was in Naples. It's Castle Creek Fiber Studio, and this is what I got in the mail from them. I got this for a second hospice shawl, and I think, of course, it's turquoise. And I kind of try, and not that I always do, it would not be as noticeable as what I've shown you today, but I like doing turquoise for hospice because it's me. So this is going to be a hospice shawl after the yellow one's done. So this is what came in the mail from them. And then what I bought while I was there, this is Knit 1, Crochet 2. This is Cosette. And this is a 62% silk, 30% cotton, 8% nylon. It's called Cosette. And I bought this for a shawl for summer. And I thought it was just the perfect yarn and weight and look for what I'm going through. And not really a shawl, but more of a poncho shawl wrap, that one of those. The pattern that I have planning on doing this is called Claire. And I will link that in my show notes on my blog, the pattern from that. It's Ninja Chickens, I want to say, but I'm sorry. Anyway, on this particular one, this was a pattern that I was gifted to from Lizzie of Lupin Hook. And this is what I'm going to use for that. And I think it's going to be great to toss over all those. I have a couple of sleeveless things, and I don't do sleeveless in the summertime, but this would be perfect just to throw over and still be able to wear my sleeveless. So this was Cabin Creek Fiber Studio in Naples that I picked that up. Then one of the other places we went, and I don't have the name of it, but I talked about it on my blog, was the needlepoint shop. And again, it was a fantastic needlepoint shop. And I don't needlepoint, and I don't anymore, and I don't want to start that. But they had some lovely, lovely things. But one of the things that intrigued me was my friend Victoria had this at her house, and we all bought one. The three of us all bought one. And this is a smart clip-on lamp. Bought at the needlepoint shop, okay? And I had to have one because this is light and portable, rechargeable, and you can use it through your USB if that's where you want to go. And the cool thing is it's daylight, very lightweight, loving this. Look at that. Isn't that cool? You can maneuver that, right? I think this is going to be perfect for hotel rooms that have dim light. And here you go. It has a thing you just tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. Isn't that cool? Plus it will clip on. Clip on. But I think it'd be cool, and it will just sit as well. So I am just super stoked about that from the needlepoint shop. Daylight. I'll bet I could use this as a light if I was podcasting. If there was not a good sunlight like I've got today. So anyway, that was from the needlepoint shop. After we left Naples on Tuesday, we drove to Sarasota, and to go to a good yarn, because I have been a fan of a good yarn for many years. Sometime back, they sold Three Irish Girls yarn, and Three Irish Girls, the original dyer, she had dyed a colorway called Gulf of Mexico, which was all the blues of the Gulf of Mexico, and I had to have some of that, and I've heard about them then. That's where I got my yarn from. Somebody was going there and they picked it up for us. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. So I have wanted to go there ever since hearing about that from that yarn many years ago. So anyway, last fall, my friend Becky told me about an email that she received from them, and they were doing a yarn club. It was 3 shipments every other month, and you would get yarn, a pattern, and a picture of the yarn that they, a picture of a fish that one of the husbands takes dives, takes a picture of these fishes, bring it back, and then the yarn is dyed to go with this picture. And it was in every other month and 3 installments. And so the final installment came last week from A Good Yarn. And this is the last picture. This is a snowflake eel. Okay. Isn't that cool? And so the yarn that came to resemble that is from Fleece Artist. It is hand dyed, and this is called Festival Socks. Both of them are Festival Socks. And merino, nylon, mohair, and silk. Okay, machine washable, 437 yards. Okay, and these are the 2 colorways. Are those not cool? Okay, bring the fish picture back of the snowflake eel. And on the back they tell you about the snowflake eel. But look at this. Is that not cool? I'm loving that. So then what they also do is they give you a pattern, a recommended pattern for it. And this one's a Casa Pinka, and I have a couple of her patterns. Yonda Window. It's a boomerang shawl. Yeah, boomerang shawl, okay, with the 2 colorways. Is that not cool? So that is the pattern that I'll be using for that. And also then they always send you a little goodie to go with it. And these are some progress keepers, which is really super cool. Loving these. Aren't those neat? So that was the last installment. And that came from A Good Yarn while I was gone. And so then, while we were there, went shopping in the store, and I found a couple of things that this is called Ultra Pima Fine Peruvian Tones, and it's called Deep Ocean. And again, those who know me, here you go. But anyway, I bought enough for, I thought, like a tank top. But then after I got it home, I had a couple of dresses. I had a dress and a sleeveless top thrown on the couch, and I was putting away from our trip. And I just kind of threw this down on it. And I'm like, I think I could make another one of those poncho wraps to go over those sleeveless outfits. So I think that's what it's going to be. So I think that's what that's going to be. And then I could not resist this. This is La Jolla, California coast. And this is a superwash merino. The colorway is California coast. Have never heard of this yarn, but okay, I'm just saying. Look at this. Going to be a shawl. I bought 2 skeins of it. Are you not loving that? That's going to be so super, super cool. I am looking forward to I got a lot of knitting to do. So anyway, that was A Good Yarn. I'm glad I went to the shop. It was a good experience, and that was Sarasota, Florida. Next up, we drove to, on the other side of Atlanta, Eat, Sleep, Knit in Dallas, Georgia. And I'm going to tell you, that is the store of my trip. I loved it. I loved it from the minute you walked in. And the background is, I have ordered some things from Eat, Sleep, Knit online. Interesting enough, the first time I ever ordered from them, I was looking for something specific, okay? And that came up. And I was a little leery because I'd never heard of Eat, Sleep, Knit. And you're like, should I order it? Should I not? And so I did. Still thinking, yeah, if I get it, or if this is just, not what I was expecting, then that's what it is. But I have to tell you, from the get-go, I have been so impressed with the yarns that I have been getting from them, and the quick service and the good service. So we went to Eat, Sleep, Knit, and the minute I walked in the store, I'm like, I want to go back here on a road trip. They have all the yarns that I can't get locally. They have Madeline Touch, they have Hedgehog Fibers, they have handmaiden yarns. And Madeline Tosh, they don't just have a little bit of it, they have many, many, many colorways. They have many bases, they have many weights of it. It is just unbelievable what they have. And so I am so impressed, and I was so pleased when we went in. And I found what a great, great shop it is. I recommend it if you're in that area, or if you're driving back, go to Dallas, Georgia to Eat, Sleep, Knit. You will not be disappointed. So first up, what I got from there is, and I probably have something very similar to this in my stash, but not exactly. I have coveted from afar handmaiden sea silk. Many of my friends have knit with this, and a couple of years ago we knit a wedding shawl for one of our friends, and it was a joint group project. Everybody knit on it, and so I have loved that shawl. It's a free pattern, and it's the bamboo wedding shawl pattern, and so I could not resist when I found this sea silk. I'm not going to be able to do this justice, but is that not beautiful? This is going to be a wrap shawl. My younger son, twin son, got engaged to a wonderful girl over Valentine's Day. And this is, I'm either wearing this to the wedding, or I'm going to wear it the night before the rehearsal dinner. But this is going to be a wrap, and I am dying to use it. Cannot wait. So this was from Eat, Sleep, Knit. I was so pleased to get this yarn. And colorway is topaz, and I've looked at it online for many times. And when I saw it and they had it, and I bought it. Love that. And then next up, I bought a couple of Madeline Tosches, and these are for cowls, both of them. I am thinking maybe in 2 years, 24 months, I've got a countdown, I'm going to seriously look at retirement. I'm going to go back and talk to the retirement people, but probably about 18 months ago, I decided that I would do a project called 40 Months, 40 Cowls. And what this is, at work, every year we have a girls' holiday bash, and I am one of 3 people who co-put this on. And when my friend Norma was still alive, she helped me knit scarves for everybody who came to this girls' holiday bash as a gift. And probably there was like 40 of them. And it took us a couple years to do them, but without her help, I wouldn't have gotten them done. So since then, a lot of people have said, oh, I heard about those scarves you did, and when are you going to do that again? Because I didn't work there, or I didn't come. So what I decided at the 40-month out mark, I would start doing a cowl a month for my very last girls' holiday bash, and that would be my parting gift to everybody. And so I'm plodding along. I'm a little bit behind, but I am going to try and pick that up now, so that I don't have to race to the finish. And I want to do that again at the very last party in 24. So that would probably be in 30 months-ish that we have. But anyway, at Eat, Sleep, Knit, I picked up a couple of things for some cowls. This is Madeline Tosh again. This is Tosh Chunky, but man, does it not, it doesn't seem like a chunky to me. But anyway, this is called Conference Call, and it was different than anything I'd seen. And again, it has my signature colors. And no, not everyone that I'm knitting for this holiday bash is going to have turquoise in it. But anyway, this is going to be a cowl for that last one. Okay. And then I also got another Madeline Tosh. This is Tosh Vintage Wonka Wash. And one of my all-time favorite movies, books, is the Wonka shows from the original. When I was a kid, I loved the Wonka book. And this is going to be for another cowl. Isn't that cool? From Eat, Sleep, Knit. So one of the other things that I was telling you about was that I had, when I went there, is I wanted to buy, I saw online that they had hedgehog fibers yarn, and they had a yarn, and what I was looking for was a merino Merino Aran. And last winter, I knit a hat out of a strand of this merino Aran colorway and Shibui silk cloud that I got from Espace Tricot. And after I got done with this hat, I decided, I'd like to have a matching cowl for myself. And of course, it was sold out, and I didn't want it. Then when it was back in stock at Espace, I didn't want to just buy the 2 skeins of it and pay the $30 shipping, because I didn't have any other things that I wanted. And I went online, again, Google searched this, Eat, Sleep, Knit came up, that they carried this. Well, in the meantime, I thought, well, I'll just wait till I get there and I'll pick it up. When I got there, they were out, but the gal behind the desk gave me a great thing. She said, you have an account, go out on our website, put in the wish list or notify me when this is available, and put your information in, and we'll ship it to you when we get it. So when I came home, I did that, and what do you know? Along comes that Monday after I put it in, my 2 skeins arrived. So now I have yarn for a cowl for me that I will use again with the Shibui. And this is called Bubble, and this is their Aran. And I love it. Again, Eat, Sleep, Knit. I'm just telling. Yeah, this is a great, great shop. But the cool thing is they always have some good things going on with there. And in my envelope, I got a thing, a yarn lotto, where you scratch it off. And if I match 3 squares, then I win prizes. And so now I have a $5 store credit for my next one. And I can just send it on, and they'll put it on my account. How cool is that? Eat, Sleep, Knit. Go there. If you're in the area, or you're en route, or you're in Atlanta at all, you got to go there. So, loving that place. It's a winner for me. And then the last shop that we stopped at was in Nashville, and it was House of Yarn, and I've heard about them. And again, this was a super cool shop. I loved the fact that they had some really trendy, and I don't want to say trendy, fashionable knits made up that you could look at and sink your teeth into. I was really thrilled with what they had as well. As I walked in the door, they had a pattern which I had to pick up. This is called Meet Me at the Ryman by Joe Strong. Do this. The name alone had me. And I'm going to tell you, again, that little story brings me back from my youth, because my dad always got tickets for the Ryman when it was at the theater downtown, okay? And we would make a trip down there, and my mom and dad were country western fans, and so we went there one time, and I sat in the old pews. And 2 things that are memorable about this is that my brother had to go because he was not old enough to stay home alone. But anyway, when we went to this show, we had heard on the way down that the Osmond brothers were going to be there. We're going to play, okay? And so he was like, okay. And we got down there, and it was not the Osmond brothers. It was somebody called the Osborne brothers. And he was not thrilled by that. I thought that was funny, and I still remember that to this day. But what I do remember is several things. In front of our seats were Flat and Scruggs, which were big-time country westerns back in the day, back when I was, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, probably 50 years ago, let's say that. And I saw Minnie Pearl up on stage. It was the Grand Ole Opry. It was the greatest thing, thrill. And so when I saw this, Meet Me at the Ryman, it's like, I had to have it. I had to have it. And plus, it's a really cool shawl pattern and different. So I'm looking forward to knitting that. And so then, also at House of Yarn, I walked by and I saw this, Birds of a Feather. And I have been looking at this pattern forever. I thought this is super cool. And they're laid out, they had this. And I'm like, I'm buying it. Because that, a lot of times, you'll see a pattern and you want to, well, at least I do, let's put it that way. You want to just duplicate what you've seen. And so here it was. Had to have it. This is Dream in Color, Jilly. And this is Issachar Alpaca 1. It's a lace weight. Is this not going to be cool? I think that's going to be so, so cool. Super, super neat. And I'm looking forward to doing that one. That was a fun to do. So that was House of Yarn in Nashville, Tennessee. Easy to get to, easy. And the area that we went through, and I wish I could remember what it was, but really was cool to get to there because it was just, I don't want to say it was Northtown or Southtown or something like that. Really neat architecture, really neat buildings that you knew were condos, and thinking, oh, how cool it would be to have lived in that area. It really was a super nice place. And I just really, really recommend that particular shop as well. If you're in Nashville area, you can maybe head out to Opryland or go to the Grand Ole Opry and see some stars if you like country western. Anyway, so that is the extent of my yarn souvenirs. It was a great trip. I can't tell you, again, it was with friends, and 20 hours in the car, 3 or 4 yarn shops, eating, fun, talking. We watched a podcast while we were in the car. I did. I held the thing and made sure my friend Debbie didn't run off the road. So it was just a great, great trip. And even better with yarn souvenirs. So I really like that. So podcasts, what am I listening to? Well, right now I'm catching up on the Knit More girls. I've listened to them for quite some time on my trips home, and I love listening to Jasmine and Gigi. They are a multi-generational podcast, and fun stuff to listen to, both of them. So I'm catching up on them the last couple of weeks. And I also have been listening to a podcast. It's called Making, and this was formerly known as Woolful. And last week I listened to her episode number 3, where Jared Flood of Brooklyn Tweed told about his journey to from beginning to having his yarn line. Great, insightful. Love listening to his of how it all started and how he started knitting and the progression. And so that is episode number 3. So I really, again, I like Making. I like listening to her, and she's quite soothing too. Things to knit by right now. It's not baseball season yet. It's still spring training, but in a couple of weeks, baseball will start back up, and so then I will be watching my St. Louis Cardinals knit. I'll be knitting by them by the games, so I'm super looking forward to that. I'm watching The Voice again. I love that they do 2 seasons a year, and so I'm watching that on Monday and Tuesday nights. I'm getting a kick out of. I also like the Spring Baking Championship. I don't bake, but man, I'll eat for you if you want. Whatever you bake, as long as it's gluten-free. But anyway, I'm loving watching those because it's just amazing the things that those bakers do in a couple of hours, and I can knit while I do it. So I'm watching those episodes. On Sunday nights, I love HGTV, and I love the ones where they're doing the beach. How close to the beach can I get? The Mexico ones, anything that has water. So I'm watching. I love those. I DVR them or whatever, record them so I can watch them at a later date if I'm not around at home. But so I'm watching that. I'm all about the beach and the blue water. I would be happy if I won the lotto and ended up there somewhere. But anyway, and then last of all, I want to just tell you about it started out as a YouTube video, but right now it's Facebook Live that I'm watching. And this is Kristen Almdahl, Yarn on the Beach. And Kristen Almdahl has many, many books, crochet and knitting. She just put out, I think, her 14th book. But the thing I like about Kristen is, again, she is in the Naples, Bonita Springs area. And she does a live video cast on Facebook right now because she was having issues with YouTube. Every morning, I want to say about 6:45-ish Central Time, where she is on the beach and the waves are her background, and she talks about knitting and crocheting. And so that's what I'm watching when she posts it up on YouTube at the end of the day, because I used to try and catch her live, but it's really hard. That's about the time that I'm trying to get myself out the door and off to work. But so right now I'm watching Kristen Almdahl yarn on the beach and loving that. So yeah, Kristen also not only is a designer, but has some yarn lines. And so one of the things that I lastly want to show you is for the cowls, and the thing that's so super cool about Kristen is her patterns are all free. You do not pay for the patterns. And so I ordered from her a kit to make the Serene Sampler Mobius cowl. And I'm not sure if this is going to be for me or for the 40 cowls, 40 months. Probably for me, because it is out of her Be So Serene yarn. And I think this would be a great one for spring, early spring. But this is the pattern. It's a sport weight yarn. So that, and then I ordered the kit. Be So Serene. It's a 100% certified organic cotton sport weight yarn, and there are 8 38-yard balls in 8 hand-dyed colors. A portion of every sale benefits the project Kristen Cares, and her free patterns and videos, and she does multiple videos. Any of her books or her designs, I want to say, she does a video that you can follow along on some of the techniques, and she has them out on YouTube. But she also has a blog. She also does recipes that are healthy, plant-based of late, and she's just prolific. She has a skincare line, and I have not tried that out yet, but she's a master entrepreneur. So if you are so inclined, check her out. But this is the yarns. Aren't those adorable colors? You can see why I think I might want to keep this for myself. Anyway, this is Kristen Almdahl. And once I get knitting on that, I'll show that to you as well. And lastly, I have been wearing these quite a bit because it's been chilly, but not super cold around here. And so these are the perfect driving mitts. And these, again, I'm going to shout out one more time to my friend Kim, Arts Lover. She, ARTSLUVR. She is one of those friends that I met at ZK last year, and she was my Knitmas partner. And look at these kids. Are these not to die for? I'm just amazed at anybody who beads anything. And maybe I'll try that this year. But are those not the coolest? Look at that. That was part of my Knitmas gift. Color Me. Oh, love it. Is that not amazing? Anyway, these are great for in the morning. Grab hold of the steering wheel going to work. Knitting friends, they're the best. I'm just telling you. I feel sorry for anybody who doesn't have a group of knitting friends. Seek one out. Seek them out. Seek a group out if you're anywhere, because I'm telling you, they're the greatest. And I just can't say enough about them. There you go. Love them. Anyway. So that's all I have for you today. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're so inclined, please subscribe and get a hold of me. Let me know if you liked the video. I'm looking forward to it. I have to tell you, I was hard pressed to find a time when I could do it alone, because it's a little, you don't want to be, I don't want people walking through and all that stuff, eyeballing you while you're talking to yourself. Anyway, but thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks with something new. And again, until then, knit on with confidence and hope. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Have a great week.